So let's start with this one. And it might be fun just to kind of think about, we haven't done a ton of poses that are super foreshortened just because they're not always conducive to studying muscles. I really do vary my approach for different poses. If it's light and shadow, I'll tend toward like a simplified way of looking at shapes. Sometimes if it's really foreshortened, I'll tend to kind of be more perspective heavy and kind of stack form more like a landscape, because foreshortening only really works if like whatever the abstract shapes of the figure are, like in a position like this, if you get their orientation correct, from one to the next. So sometimes I move a little bit more slowly from part to part. So this one, maybe I'll do kind of work that way, just head to neck, then neck to shoulder. And I'm going to think of the shoulders as kind of a box, because I'm seeing so much of the top, and that box is like really quickly moving away and kind of under. And then the pelvis is in front of that, and it kind of hits just almost directly beneath her chin. For these, this one in particular, I'm thinking much more about siding, kind of where things line up, and then the leg comes from almost behind the face. And then this leg just kind of goes straight up, or it's on a chair or something, and the shoulders. And another thing I do that you may want to start thinking about, especially if you're trying to kind of work towards putting in figures and environments, is I always like plot some kind of perspective ground plane for characters, just so I can get a consistent quality of where their bodies might be hitting or how their feet might be positioned. I think this is especially helpful for feet if you find that your feet kind of still float instead of connecting to a ground plane. So here's my arm, and this comes forward. So this is most where the weight is. So this kind of helps, this grid helps me on the other side, kind of plotting where that other elbow should be. And then for the trap in this one, just to kind of cover that one muscle here, I would look and use the top of the box to help set up the landmarks. So it would be clavicle, chromium, scapula, clavicle, chromium, scapula. I can see the blades, and really where they end is when the form of the back changes. See it on this side. I could kind of feel the spine, and then that's when it starts to tuck under. And so if you can find that much, you should be able to kind of connect your muscle. So in this one, the trap goes to the back, but because her head's turning, we're not going to see the full attachment. So this would mean that there's a little bit of twist to the muscle. So it's not going to be just like this. The back, like the bottom portion might be, but the top portion is going to be twisted, which means whenever you see a twist, it's always a triangle that's pointing behind the head. So I'm going to this turns into more of a triangle, and I'll just follow this side out. So it comes down, it connects right into these three, then jumps the corner down, and then would pull, varies. So it could be anywhere from this point, the 4th to the 12th thoracic spine. So it's hard to tell where it is for her because we don't see. So let's do it on this side too. And then the reason I'm trying to go like with every surface is so that I get that sense of perspective, that all the lines are kind of nailed down to those geometries. And this is an overlap. So that's the twisting. Here's coming out, and this is creating the whatever fullness there is to the shoulder here. And then this part would be much thinner. So that's just the kind of the spoke wheel design. Same thing here. Just probably a little bit more pinched because it looks a little higher, even higher than I drew it. So that comes out. I always show this as having the kind of a box ending. If you take away one of these, then it'll just look like a knife for the end of the blade, and that's not what I want, or the end of the shape there. So that's trap. That's how I would draw it and kind of visualize that whole pose. And then let's also do this one too. So I would start this the same way, maybe just kind of working part to part to have a better chance of trying to get a difficult pose foreshortened. So I kind of see a shape for the head, and then shoulder line, spine, shoulder. And then I'm going to think of that this is all the torso, but it doesn't go very far. And then this is where it's already twisting here, kind of that arm coming out. And then as soon as that happens, the pelvis is in the way. So this pelvis is facing a different direction than the torso. This like comes out. It's like it's pointing more this way. So I think I'm seeing something like this. And then from there, the leg comes out, and this is really far back. So what I see on this side is the scapula here, and then the arm. This is the back of the arm, just kind of reaching behind her, and then out, so hand. And then this scapula is here, and then this arm just kind of goes this more normal, like a normal position, just kind of out or forward. For the boxes, for foreshortening, I can kind of see the as is, so I'm gonna get a better pelvis, a rare time where I would show underneath it, I think. Kind of see the rib cage right here, just one side, and it's just slightly twisted off the pelvis. So I think in this we would mostly be seeing like the side of the rib cage and then a little bit of the front. And then maybe the challenging part for the arm that's on the ground is that because the scapula is kind of hyperextended behind, like so right here, it feels like we're seeing her back, but we're not, I would say. Remember, that's because the shoulders can move independent of the rib cage. So you can have your rib cage facing this way and then have your shoulders move off of that and create what might feel like 3 perspectives, but there's no way I can see the front, the side, and the back without the shoulder, pushing out a little bit. So I would just bring the shoulder blade out from the box, right, while still making sure that I understand it being kind of 3/4 or almost profile. And then the head, I could probably angle down more. So trapezius in this, I think, wouldn't really see a ton because I don't see the neck very well. But if I had to guess, I'd say maybe a little bit here, a little bit here, but pinched at the top because the shoulders brought up against the head, a little bit here, and then I lose it. And then I don't see trapezius coming up because now we're dealing with the rib cage. So I would start to see only just a little bit here again. So that would be, you could still see like the dagger shape, but I think it's just distorted and warped for the perspective. I'm seeing more like the deltoid on this side, but mostly just the back head, and then muscles that we're already acquainted with, I think are easier to draw here because even though it's leaned back, it's not really foreshortened. So oblique, abs. So I think questions on these two were just about the traps. So hopefully that helps. And then there's a little bit of extra just on how you could deal with foreshortened poses. But these are poses I would probably, this one for sure, have avoided. Just been like, no thanks, on to the next. You should be capable of doing foreshortening at some point because it's like such a valued skill depending on what you're going into. Like if it's, anything storyboarding or, heavy on storytelling, you have to be able to draw the figure from extreme angles. But I think sometimes with anatomy, it's hard enough just to learn what's there without like the extra offense of a really challenging pose.
Want to learn from Michael? Check out his Introduction to Figure Construction and Head Construction courses on Proko.com. Both courses have hours of demonstrations, lectures, and student critiques. If you're interested, click on the links in the description. Thanks.